I just can't stand this. I can't stand this. Here are two, honest to God, I didn't live in Europe or Germany or Nuremberg or, when actual war criminals were put on trial and people who had made monstrous decisions for the country of Germany, horrific decisions that resulted in what was the death toll of World War II? 100 million people, 80 million, whatever. So I'm not used to living in a country or even seeing on television people who are bona fide, honest to God, war criminals. Now, I realize that Lyndon Johnson ordered some stuff in Vietnam that could only be considered war crimes, that Oliver North and John Poindexter ordered stuff in Central America that were, in fact, war crimes, and that because Ronald Reagan had taken an oath, he was as guilty as North in committing crimes against humanity. I understand. I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention back then. And I don't remember Reagan or Johnson parading themselves around in television, giving exit interviews about how their administrations were such sterling examples of good leadership, the way these two filthy sons of bitches are doing. But to know without a doubt, I mean, we can make the case that Reagan was lied to. We can make the case that Lyndon Johnson was lied to. I mean, we can. We can make the case in both of those instances. But you can't do that with Bush and Cheney. They knew. They ordered it. They had discussions in the Oval Office. See, here I go again. I'm sorry. So we have two real war criminals. Since they're not going to be put on trial for their crimes against humanity in this country, that will never happen. I don't care. Maybe if there are investigations, it doesn't make any difference. We will not. We are not at that level yet in this country where we will hold people that accountable. We simply won't do it. So what I'm hoping, I don't care if Dennis Kucinich was the president, it wouldn't happen. It just simply would not. If what's his name, Ralph Nader, if Cynthia McKinney were president, it would not happen. We're not there. So the only thing I hope for is that these people eventually will be picked up when they're traveling or arrested and put on trial somewhere. And that's not going to happen either. You know this as well as I do. So these sons of bitches are going to walk free. And I think that's what makes me so enraged. If I knew that justice would prevail on some level, but it's not going to. It's not going to. Mike in St. Paul, referring to these exit interviews, especially by the moron, Mike writes, Mike, looks like W is hanging his presidency's hat on his preventing another attack after 9/11. But, Mike, why isn't the monkey blamed for 9/11 itself? Putting aside all the theories that point to Bush being complicit in the attack, we do know for a fact that no National Security Council meeting was held by the Bush administration before the attack. So at the very least, W was grossly negligent in that his incompetence, his failure to hold NSC meetings before the attack approximately caused the attack. If you don't believe me, read Richard Clark's book. Why isn't W held accountable for 9/11? I've never understood this, Mike. The fact that he is framing his legacy on preventing attacks on what he calls the homeland adds insult to injury. And Mike adds, just to follow up, we should never forget that we had an FBI field agent here in Minnesota who did connect the dots before 9/11. She arrested a man named Zacharias Moussaoui on suspicion of terrorism, remember him? Because he was taking flight lessons, but only requested to learn how to take off, not land. Had Bush held NSC meetings, had Bush been engaged and asked for a report of any suspicious activity from the field offices, W could have done this after he got the memo that stated bin Laden determined to attack in the U.S. I mean, come on. Clearly, Bush was grossly negligent here. Why doesn't he get blamed? He doesn't get blamed because, to a great extent, This country is controlled by neoconservatives. Media in this country has been totally prostituted. No offense to sex workers, with a few glaring exceptions. Totally prostituted. Right-wing media and neocon right-wing media, which is 90% of talk radio, is thoroughly dedicated to Nazism, to an American brand of fascism. Thoroughly dedicated. And they don't give a goddamn what lies are told on their programs, what lies they propagate. They don't care. They're above the fray. They don't have to get down here like you and I do. They don't give a tinker's damn about any of this stuff, so they're more than willing, except what they do give a damn about is preserving the reputation of the neocons, the Republican Party, the right-wingers, George Bush and Dick Cheney, who have now put this country and every citizen in this country at more risk, in more danger than at any time in our history. At any time in our history. So for Bush and Cheney, these filthy pigs to be walking around talking about how, we prevented any further attack. So they're going to wait. You know they're going to wait? They're going to wait until we are attacked again. And there will be an effort made to attack us again. You know that as well as I do. Bush and Cheney have spent 8 years cultivating a veritable army of people who hate us, hate any American. They don't differentiate between Bush and Cheney and you or me. There's no differentiation. We are Americans. We allowed this son of a bitch. We didn't remove him from office by any means necessary. We didn't do that. That's how the rest of the world, the people who hate us, look at us. You, filthy Americans, you have done this to us. You've violated our holy places. You've invaded our countries. You've tortured our people. And you've allowed your leadership to do this. We are coming to you. Only this time it's not a joke. That's what Bush and Cheney have done. And there's going to be no effort made. Ever. Count on it. And liberals, left-wingers, don't get your bloomers in a wad when Barack Obama does nothing. Because you can scream and rant and rave and pound your fists on the floor and bash your head against the wall, but nothing is going to happen regarding the criminality of these two. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And their crime family, their extended crime family. Nothing. 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 This is the payoff. This is what the United States of America gets shoved in its face for allowing this regime to take power. On December 13th, 2000, there should have been 10 million people in the streets of America saying, no, goddammit, Supreme Court, you are not going to stop the vote count in Florida. But we didn't. We didn't do that. So here's our payback. Here's our karma. Here's our balance. Here is our Newtonian second law, our first law of motion. For every action, reaction, yada, yada, yada. Here it is. And you and I and our kids and grandkids going forward, how many generations, who knows, are going to live under this threat. Because it will come. It will come. There are people on this planet, not us. We have no historical memory. We're 230 years old. And most Americans can't tell you what happened 10 years ago. But in other parts of the world, the historical memory goes back a millennium or two. They're still discussing things and arguing and fighting about crap that happened 700 years ago in the Middle East. In Eastern Europe. All over the planet. Just because you and I can't think back beyond 10 years and have no historical memory, not you, not me, but you know what I'm talking about, that means nothing. The rest of the world does do that. And this is what Bush and Cheney, this is their legacy. This is what they've done to us. Forget every instrument of government that they have corrupted, polluted, and destroyed. Forget all that. Just this one thing, this violation of the law on a scale really and truly unknown in previous administrations, this is what's going to come back and bite us on the ass and the legs and the arms and the head and the neck and the heart and the soul until finally, somebody says enough, justice now prevails.